Hey guys, wanted to make this video to show you some of the basic functions of a scan tool. So today we have the Autel MaxiSys MS906TS. So this one has built-in TPMS capability. So you see that little icon right there. So we can go in and activate TPMS directly with this machine. So today I'm going to be scanning my gorgeous 1998 GMC Sonoma, and you can see this thing is in impeccable shape. It's gorgeous, beautiful. She's a cream puff. So first we'll start off, turn our unit on over here, and I just woke it up from sleep. It was already on. I'll unlock it, and of course we have to plug in. So this is a Bluetooth. We plug in this OBD connector and it'll communicate Bluetooth with our scan tool. Alright, my key right now is off, and take you right under there to that DLC, and we're going to plug in right to that DLC. You'll see those LEDs will confirm to me that I do have power at my DLC. So now at this point I can turn the key on, and let's go and start the process. So I'm going to select GM, and I want to ID of my vehicle. I'm going to select automatic. So what this is going to do is it'll read the VIN for me. So I'll press read, and we're going to read the VIN. So it will now communicate, get the VIN from the ECM, and from there it can pull out some of the options that we need. So we got this VIN, the last 48095, and let's go and confirm. You can confirm right on the door, and that VIN does match. So this is pretty important. Make sure that we're not dealing with, if you had a mismatched VIN, then you would know that something's going on and the computer has been changed or something like that. So it would be another clue. So we'll hit OK. Now that we have our VIN information, we're going to be selecting some options. So this is a 4-speed automatic. This does have an EGR valve. I'll show you what that looks like right here. So there is an EGR valve right there staring me right in the face. So we'll go back in, and this is our with EGR, and this is a pickup. So we'll review our data over here. This is a 98. This is a light duty truck with a mighty 2.2 liter inline 4, and it is a small pickup, small conventional cab. All that stuff looks good to me. I'll hit yes. Now it's asking for which body modules this has. So it's asking, my two options are either with BCM and IPC or instrument panel cluster present, or BCM, IPC, and driver seat. So this is asking me if it has a driver seat module. And as you can see by my lovely jury-rigged handle, this is definitely not an electric seat. It doesn't have heated seats and all that stuff, so there is no driver seat module in here. So let's go in and select the right option, and I want to do some diagnosis. So I'll select diagnosis, and here I can go to either auto scan, where I can scan all of the modules, or I can select an individual control unit. So if I was to select control unit, then I can go and pick from what I have, what I want to look at. Do I want to look at powertrain? Here we have powertrain, four-wheel anti-lock, supplemental inflatable restraint SIR, body control module, instrument panel cluster, pass lock, diagnostic circuit check. I don't want any of this stuff. I want all of the stuff. So I'm going to select auto scan, and here it's going to begin an automatic scan. So this is going to go in and scan all of our systems and just basically ask check for DTCs and see, do we have any kind of faults stored or anything like that. So it'll be just a minute, and on some vehicles this takes a long time. On this one it happens to know which modules to look for. On some cars it will just scan all possible modules. So it'll start looking for all kinds of, active headlights and, body BCM number 1, BCM number 2, just every single different option that that manufacturer might make. In this case, so we look at powertrain, and we have no faults in any of our systems over here. So let's go and take a closer look at powertrain and see what we can see in there. We can see what kind of options we have. So here's our function menu. This is the stuff that this PCM can do. So I can get ECU information. So let's look what's in here. So this is our Cal ID, VIN, and our monitor status. So let's look at Cal ID. And so Cal ID is going to tell us what the program is in the vehicle. So in other words, what software version do we have in the PCM? And we can write that number down and compare it to a bulletin or something if we're thinking that the vehicle needs a reprogram. Typically that's done in response to a bulletin, or if you're in the dealership, you might have to reprogram as part of a recall. So next we can go in and read a VIN and check the VIN. We already know our VIN is good. This is our IM system status, so our inspection and maintenance, or our monitors. So we can see here just a quick health check. Number of DTCs is 0, so no fault stored. The mill is not requested, so the PCM has not commanded the mill on. So if you ever have a discrepancy where you have the mill is not coming on, there's no check engine light, but the mill is requested, then you know that something is up. Maybe somebody took a bulb out or something crazy like that. But the monitor status, we can see my catalytic monitor hasn't run, my evap monitor hasn't been run. Heated catalyst is not a monitor that's supported on this ECM. And we can see my heated oxygen sensor is not run. None of these monitors have run. So moving on, let's look at some of the other stuff. So we can look at trouble codes over here, and let's read. And so now we're reading, and remember when we did our diagnostic system check, when we did our all systems test, we didn't have any DTC. So let's look at our current DTCs. No fault codes are detected. Well, let's see if we can change that. So I'm going to go, and the easiest thing to do is I'm going to pull this intake air temperature sensor connector off. Let's see what that did. Let's see what that did right here. Let's get our current, no fault stored. So let's try to start the car. So I've started the car. Interesting. So that didn't. Let's see if it's in here. So this would indicate all of our different DTCs that have not ran. So this test, for example, the top one, 460. This test has not ran since it's been cleared. So let's see what else we can do in here. We can look at live data. So let's look at engine data number 1. So we can see our different data items. We have engine speed, desired idle. Look at that IAT reading, -40. Let's see what happens when we plug it back in. I'll try to take you out to the car. It's going to be a little noisy. So keep your eye on that IAT. Now I've just plugged that back in and unplug it, and we can see how that value has changed. We'll go back into the car so you don't get that glare. So let's escape from here, and we can look at our active test. Another cool thing that we can do with a scan tool is active test. So let's say I go into my engine and I want to operate my EGR solenoid. So if I suspect I have an EGR problem for some reason, I wanted to operate that solenoid. So we can go in and listen to that engine as I increase the EGR opening. You see, as I increase the EGR, it gets worse and worse, the engine runs, which I expect because we don't normally have EGR flow while it's idling. But we can go in and force the PCM to do things for us. So we can make it turn on and turn off various solenoids and stuff. Let me turn the engine off. We'll turn it back on again. So I can do a real quick, let's explore this scenario right here. And you'll have to excuse my camera work, guys, because I am decidedly an amateur at this. So let's say we thought that we had some sort of fuel issue. We have no fuel pressure. We have a no start maybe, and we're trying to figure out, well, does our fuel pump have power going to it, and you know what is going on. So we got to the relay over here. Over here you see I took the relay out and I've installed this. I've put it on this jumper. So this relay jumper gives me these very convenient access points over here in order to do a test. So I'm going to insert my relay tester in here, my breakout like that, and you see I have my multimeter here hooked up. So my negative lead is on the battery there, and I'm set 2 volts DC. So if I need to test this, I can go into my active test right here and go into fuel pump. It's telling me to make sure all my fuel lines are connected, which makes a lot of sense. If I was doing something and I had the fuel lines open, this will squirt all the fuel all over the place. So now at this point I can go and command my fuel pump on, and you could kind of hear it. And now with my meter, so I can look at, I'll go on terminal 30, which is the feed terminal, and so I'm getting battery volts. Sorry guys, I'll try to turn this. So here is my voltage feed going into my relay, 13.11. Here is my switched lead coming out, so you notice we dropped about 0.05 volts through the relay contacts, which is fine. Now on the control side I'm showing 1/10 of a volt on the ground side, and on the other side of that control side I have near battery voltage, 12.93. And I'm not sure if you can hear it in the camera, but my fuel pump is running right now. So that's just some of the stuff that you can do. I'm going to turn that active test off, and my fuel pump just turned off for me, which is what I expected. Perfect. So now let's go and see what else we can do with this. So we've looked at active test. Now we can look at special functions. So we can do CKP variation relearn. So this is to relearn the profile of the crankshaft position sensor, or rather the flywheel that the CKP reads off of. And I'll show you what the IAC system test can do. So let's go in here. Let's go in here. I'm going to start the car. Okay. And so let's press IAC system. And it's telling me to set the parking brake, block the drive wheel, start and idle the engine. We have done that. And so from here, I can go and increase the engine speed. So we have an RPM reading for engine speed right there. I'm going to increase the RPM desired. And now you can see that the actual engine speed is responding in kind. So we'll keep going up and up and up and up. We'll see how fast this will allow us to go. $1,500, $1,550. You get the idea. So I've commanded it to 1600, and you can see that my desired engine speed is around 1600 RPM. And my actual is right there in and around 1600. So this will show us if our idle air control motor, if our idle speed command is working. And it's a great little active test to see if we have idle problems, well, can the idle be controlled? We can also do a cylinder power balance. So this will help us identify which cylinder is misfiring. So I can go in and cut cylinder number 1. So let's see if, I don't know if you can pick that up. Let's try and get in closer. I'll get you right on the engine so you can see how it kind of, and maybe you can hear this. We'll go to power balance. And I'm gonna cut the cylinders one by one. So I'll cut this one, number 1. You can hear that kind of, the way it stopped. Let's try this again. So here we are running on all 4. Here we are, 1 cylinder off. And you can see as I'm cycling through the various cylinders, and I'll show you what the screen looks like. So here I can cut cylinder number 1, and you can see misfire counts for cylinder number 1 increasing right there. I'll switch it to cylinder 3, and here we see cylinder 3 misfire counts. Switch to 4, cylinder 4 misfire counts. And so they'll count up to a certain number and then reset. So some pretty cool capabilities with this tool. We'll be using it. I'll be showing you some more stuff with it, how to test. So from here, when we're using a scan tool, we'll escape. We're going to follow the proper shutdown procedure. So I'm going to shut down the scan tool first. Okay, it'll even remind me. Make sure that we take the VCI out. We don't want to leave that thing behind. It's expensive. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys.